Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we got a title. This is titled "Trump Lashes Out at Weaklings Who Believe Epstein BS," and we're gonna find out if the title is misleading, if they're just making Trump look like a bad guy, or if this is actually true. Because we know sometimes titles can be misleading. There be all type of propaganda and just things that don't necessarily be true, or to take people's words out of context. So we're gonna jump into this and come up with our own conclusion. With that being said, we're smoking all my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking. I do not get tired of saying that. It's my mantra. But yeah, let's go. Let's find out.
With the president still talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case, the Justice Department is busy trying to keep his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, from successfully appealing her conviction on sex offenses involving minors. In a brief filed with the Supreme Court yesterday, the DOJ argued that her claim that Epstein's 2007 plea deal should have also covered her is both incorrect and unlikely to succeed in, quote, any appeals court. For more on her actual role up to this point, here's CNN's Randy Kay.
Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates and helped him exploit girls who were as young as 14 years old.
Ghislaine Maxwell, a friend and former lover of Jeffrey Epstein's. She dated the accused sex trafficker in the 1990s, and the two remained close. Federal investigators accused Maxwell of serving as Epstein's madam, recruiting young girls for Epstein to abuse, and taking part in the abuse herself.
She pretended to be a woman they could trust. All the while, she was setting them up to be sexually abused by Epstein, and in some cases, by Maxwell herself.
Long before that, Maxwell had a privileged life in the English countryside where she grew up. She's the daughter of Czech-born newspaper tycoon Robert.
That's the key word for a lot of people who be having opinions and may lack certain understandings. Is privileged. Privileged. It's a lot of privileged people who they don't think in favor of the everyday person who might not be as privileged. And I think overall, with everything, that is a problem with society. Because if the people who are closer to the top, or a lot of people who had were multimillionaires or had billions of dollars, thought more, didn't think so much about have such control issues and thought more about the people, then so many problems, including with this whole trafficking stuff, would be eliminated in the world. But when you tend to be privileged and you tend to feel like you have more control over others, guess what? It creates an imbalance.
Robert Maxwell, who died in 1991 after falling off his luxury yacht near the Canary Islands. Multiple people say Maxwell introduced Epstein to affluent social circles. Maxwell's own exclusive circle included then-future President Donald Trump, seen together here in this photo from 2000. Alongside him, Melania, who he was dating at the time, and Jeffrey Epstein. That's Maxwell in the background of this photograph of Prince Andrew, with Virginia Roberts, who later became Virginia Giuffre. She had alleged she was trafficked by Epstein with the help of Maxwell and forced to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17. The prince emphatically denied all of it and settled Giuffre's lawsuit against him for an undisclosed amount. Giuffre died earlier this year by suicide.
Breaking news just into CNN. Longtime Jeffrey Epstein confidant and friend Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested.
In July of 2020, the year after Epstein took his life in jail, Maxwell was arrested in New Hampshire. She was charged with 6 federal counts, including 1 count of sex trafficking children. She pleaded not guilty, yet at her 2021 trial, 4 women alleged that Epstein sexually abused them and that Maxwell not only helped facilitate, but also participated in some of the abuse between 1994 and 2004. The women were under 18 at the time. Maxwell was found guilty of 5 of the 6 charges against her, including the most serious charge of sex trafficking a girl named Carolyn when she said she was just 14 years old.
That's horrible. That's... People are so distracted by the youth a lot of times and what goes on with them. And not to say, there's not a lot of damage done there, but there's a lot of the times the people that you trust or think just because they look a certain way or come from a certain type of class, they tend to be the worst ones and behind a lot of the corruption.
Carolyn had told the court she participated in sexualized massages with Epstein and recruited other young girls for him. Carolyn recalled how Maxwell groped her naked body, telling her she had a great body for Epstein and his friends. In court, the defense tried to portray Maxwell as a scapegoat.
Clever and cunning to the end, Jeffrey Epstein left Ghislaine Maxwell holding the whole bag.
Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, but appealed her sex trafficking conviction. For now, Maxwell will continue serving time here in Florida. She's behind bars at FCI Tallahassee, a low-security federal correctional institution with a detention center. Her scheduled release date, July 17, 2037. Randy Kay, CNN, Palm Beach County, Florida.
This is a simple checklist that any student...
Yeah, just hearing those crimes, crimes against humanity, it's inhumane, it's disgusting. Tim Tebow, spoke about that not too long ago, about who's really, doing the most when it comes to hurting these kids, and it's disgusting. Stuff will make you just nauseous.
How all this is being viewed inside the Department of Justice and the FBI. I'm joined by CNN senior law enforcement analyst and former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. What do you make of the Justice Department's argument to the Supreme Court for why they shouldn't take up Maxwell's appeal? Because at the core of Maxwell's petition, she's arguing that the government's non-prosecution agreement with Epstein as part of his 2007 plea deal also applies to her.
Sure, Anderson. So the government's position is it relies on a bit of a technicality here. The actual language from the non-pros agreement signed in 2008 by Jeffrey Epstein basically says if Epstein successfully fulfills all the terms and conditions of the agreement, the United States, now note, not specifically, it doesn't say just the Southern District of Florida or the entirety of the United States, also agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited to 4 of Epstein's assistants. So she is claiming that she comes within the protection of that clause. The Department of Justice saying, no, we had an internal policy at the time that said if a specific district gives you a non-pros agreement, it applies only in that district, which means the Southern District that came through in 2019 or 2020 indicting Epstein and Maxwell was not bound by this exclusive agreement.
The situation between Bongino and Pam Bondi, have you ever seen anything like it, and is that tenable?
No, absolutely not tenable. I've never seen anything like this. The idea that a deputy director of the FBI would confront the attorney general in the White House in front of other people and they'd get involved in some sort of a shouting match, making accusations about each other. I can't even imagine that ever happening. And if it did happen, I'm shocked that the attorney general hasn't already removed him from his position. It's a level of disrespect and disarray among the leadership of those two agencies that's really just a terrible example for the workforce.
It sounds like there's a lot more files that could be released if the government wanted to. Do you think that's likely to happen?
I think it's unlikely to happen. I think there's probably a lot of information in there that they really cannot release because it's protected by grand jury secrecy rules or maybe Privacy Act concerns, or maybe it's confidential witness testimony that witnesses requested protection from. So there are probably a lot of legitimate reasons why some of this information they can't release, not the least of which is that just releasing the names of people who happen to be in Jeffrey Epstein's phone book without any indication that they were involved in some sort of criminal activity would be pretty defamatory and destructive to those people's reputation. So there's a lot of legitimate limits on what they can release. And at this point, whatever they put out is never going to satisfy the conspiracy crowd.
Andrew McCabe, thanks very much.
It's not that hard, and we will do so in a little while, to find.
Okay, so finally to the gist of it all, what I'm happy to get to see, was this misleading about Trump and his reaction to everything going on.
Recent tape of the now FBI director, the now deputy FBI director, the now attorney general that he put in place, promising that when they get into office, they will find out the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. And now he is using the power that he hopes he still has to say nothing to see here, that it's a hoax, that it's all the Democrats. He has been successful in trying to do that in the past and say, don't look here, look over here, to members of his base. But so far, he has not been successful on this issue. Kristen?
Yeah, Dan, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Just because President Trump himself wasn't the biggest proponent or perpetuator of these Epstein conspiracy theories, he did put 3 of the most vocal people who had said that they wanted to release this list into top jobs within his administration. Of course, being Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI.
My thing is, like, did he type this somewhere? Is he on video saying this? Because I don't want to just run with the headline. Like, I want to know where he said this. Was it at a meeting?
FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel. Now you see him completely backing away from this and also really doing it with a slap in the face to some of his most ardent supporters, people who have been waiting for the release of this list. I just want to read you what he posted this morning, because this is what really set it off. You can see how much angrier he's getting by the minute over this Epstein coverage. He said, "My past supporters have bought into this, quote, bullshit, hook, line."
Hold on. Let me read the whole thing. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake and fully discredited still. Was that Dozer? The lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptops from hell with the Dems, which the Dems swore had come from Russia, and no, it came from Hunter. I don't want to get no. My past supporters have bought into this BS. Yeah, he's Trump be going off, or I don't know if he got somebody that be typing for him, and I just picture him in the office like, say this now, like tell them, did you get that? Did you get that? All right, I got more. Like I could.
And sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay.
Let's stop it right there. Okay, so yeah, it is suspect. Yeah, Trump, you wilding out. It's suspect. We want to know what's, people want to know the truth. People just want to know what's going on in society. People have kids, people have nieces and nephews, and, all type of people they love. And when you hear about crimes to that level, like, people deserve the truth. And if you sold it to your supporters in any type of way, like you were going to unveil that truth, and all the details behind it, and they believed in you and looked at you as some type of hero, then you can't sit here and call people weak, or you can't really lash out in that type of way. You gotta do your job. You gotta do what you promised the people. So it definitely makes you look suspect. It makes you look like you may be nervous. And all truth will be revealed when it's all said and done. Trump said it himself. He said, this is going to be the beginning of the golden age. Definitely is. And sometimes when you're headed towards the golden age, not sometimes, when you are heading towards a golden age, when you need things beautiful, you got to clean out the old trash, the old garbage. So,
A couple of things to note here. This isn't just some fringe part of his base. There is a huge part of his base that believes that there are Epstein files that need to be released. We saw that when Charlie Kirk held his seminar over the weekend in Florida, and there were thousands upon thousands of people there cheering to release the files, cheering for Dan Bongino. You are seeing a real break here in the MAGA movement. Now, the question is, as you said, do they fall in line eventually? And we just simply don't know the answer to that right now. But I just want to read you a couple of the things he said in that meeting, because some of these are just so deeply insulting to the people who put him in office. He said at one point that foolish Republicans have fallen into the net of this Democratic, as he called it, Epstein hoax. He said at one point, I have lost a lot of faith in certain people who he said had pushed.
That sounds like some serious narcissism there. I'm not like, come on, guys. That sounds like if you ever dealt with somebody who is a master manipulator, what they do is they like playing victim and like blaming you and make you feel like you wrong them. right? Or when they're put in a hot seat, they lash out, they get emotional because it messes up the game plan. It takes away a certain amount of control, especially if they hide in something. So yeah, that is suspect. People went hard for Trump, making rap music videos. Trump, and there was people out there calling him their dad and father, and I mean people just. It was like with WWE when WWF, WWE, where you got where someone idolizes a certain wrestler. That's how they were treating it. Like I said, rap videos and just the most. So if they feel like, dang, you're not, you're losing a little bit of aura here. You said you was going to do this. We believed in you, and you're not doing that. And then that person lashes out, oh, you stop being a weakling, you Republicans, you're falling for the this and that. It's like, okay, hold on. That ain't sounding like love and caring and genuineness now. That's sounding like some narcissistic behavior and like you got something to hide. That's sounding suspect, my guy. So, yeah, that's where it gets iffy at. That's where it gets iffy at. Just the lash outs for sure. It's like people want to know. It's crime against humanity. Just like with the other guy, the other rapper, who, people want to know because people have kids who are talented, who, want to get in the entertainment world or the music industry or things of that nature. Or people may work certain jobs where they're around people who are billionaires, and people want to know the truth. They want to know what's happening. They want to know. They what do you say? Drain the swamp. They want to know what was in that swamp. What's in that swamp? They want you can't lash out at people. You can't because of that. So it reminds me of the movie Tom Cruise called what was it? What was that movie with Tom Cruise? Y'all know I always got a movie for everything. It was a movie where I forgot what it was called, but he started to work at this like lawyer as a lawyer. Was he a lawyer? Yeah, I think he was a lawyer. And long story short, everybody was involved in crime. They was all working for the mob, and he had to just become this like super critical thinker and play chess to even get himself out that situation, because it became like a serious, just horrible situation where he was being controlled, and they did not paint that picture to him until he got in the insides, and it was like, oh snap, this is a criminal enterprise. So people want to know the truth about what be going on, man, so they can further protect their families, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I will say people do need to stop idolizing people so much. You seriously got to stop that.
The Epstein, quote, hoax, this is what he's calling it. He said Republicans got duped by Democrats. At one point he said stupid Republicans and stupid people are focused on this. He also noted that if there was anything credible left to release, that the Attorney General should release it, any kind of documents, and he praised Pam Bondi's handling of all of this. But if you listen to those words there, and you go back and you watch the tape of who exactly it was who was helping propel this messaging around Epstein, those are the people who got him elected, Dana. Those are the people who were out there every day on their podcasts, on various different shows, reaching out to parts of the country that were usually untapped for voters. Yep. Those are those people. And they reached those people, and they got them out to the polls, and they had an unprecedented win with certain voting blocks. And now you hear President Trump saying that these are stupid people who were duped, and that is clearly not going to sit well, despite where this ends, because obviously we can't, again, predict where this goes. But that is not the message that these people who helped him get elected want to hear.
Those are crazy words. I lost faith in certain people over that situation, because imagine how many people lost faith in you over this situation. I'm sure that goes both ways. So, yeah, that's very, very suspect. Definitely something I won't be reporting on much unless something like really big breaks, or if he says something a little crazy. But when it comes to like cases like that, I don't do no deep dives. I don't do no deep dives and stuff like that. But like I said, I will say to people, just stop idolizing people so much. I think that's America's biggest problem. They so in need of a hero that they just latch on to people so quick, and then they put them on this pedestal, and then it's like, man, it turns into damn near gangbanging. You look at this, the same mentality as a gang member. Once you start waving that flag around and, oh, anybody disrespect this flag and, oh, you're not with us, then you're on the other side. And it's like you gangbanging. At that point, you're just trying to make it look righteous, but you got the same mindset as a gangbanger who was raised in a neighborhood where they got certain flags and it's us versus them. That's the mindset, the same mindset that people be running with when they start idolizing things. People got to start thinking for the people more and stop getting duped overall. So, with that being said, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Much love to everybody. Be safe out there, and I'll be back soon.